Welcome back, everybody, to Toronto Today here on the Parlay on this Monday. We are snowed in here in the Toronto area. A lot of snow coming down, but that's not going to stop us from doing this show. Mikey, how you doing, man? And how was your weekend in terms of sports betting? Did you hit a couple of winners or what?
Well, it was a good weekend for Toronto sports in general with, a shaky start with the Raptors against the Pistons. That didn't go so well. And then Saturday night, it was a great day for Toronto with the Leafs beating the Blues and the Raptors covering the spread and winning against the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee. Overall, yeah, positive, man. How about you? How was your weekend?
It was good. I literally did not go anywhere. It was cold. Then we got the snow coming in. I just sat on my couch, watched NFL playoffs from Saturday all the way to Sunday night. But I was a little disappointed because we got too many blowouts for my liking. When you don't have a team in the race, I'm a Ravens fan. They didn't make the playoffs, obviously. You want to see good games throughout. And we only got two good games, the opening one between the Raiders and the Bengals. And then the Niners one was just a classic. But
Yeah.
other than that, the other three just blowouts. I mean, especially that Saturday nighter, unbelievable stuff. I got that horribly wrong. I somehow thought the Pats could have stole one against the Bills, and the Bills are like, nah, like we're good. We're tired of being your little brothers. So other than that, it was good, and I'm looking forward to tonight's Monday nighter. It's going to be a good one. So. Yeah, man. Sports are in their peak right now. I got NFL playoffs, got the NBA, the NHL, a lot of good things coming.
Our boy Chase Claypool couldn't do it, eh? Couldn't pull it off.
No, now he's gonna have a whole off season to think about what could have been. But we are gonna talk more about the Raptors, as you mentioned, Mike. It was a mix of emotions. Friday and then the Saturday turnaround, and they will be in action tonight against the Heat. Before we get to that, yeah, let's just talk about their weekend in a nutshell. I mean, this is a team that had no business losing on Friday. They do to Dwayne Casey and the Pistons. I kind of called it. I mean, I wasn't ballsy enough to
No,
actually go
you did.
with
No, no, no. Talk your talk, man. You did.
it. So I did take the Pistons point spread or to cover the spread, but in terms of the money line, I was close to doing it, and I wish I did actually because I had a feeling Casey now 5-0 against the Raps in their last five meetings, and I don't know what it is. Must be a psyche thing, but they just look flat out awful. And I knew going in this is going to be a trap. I think the line was what, like 8, 7.5, 8. I'm like, the Raptors are not going to cover this. If anything, they'll sneak out the win, but they not only were close to a win, they just got smacked. 103-87 was the final. But then on Saturday night, in a game they had no business winning, they were 7.5 point
Completely different team.
underdogs. They win. And now they're 5-0 against the Bucks in their last five. And the Raptors are shaping up to be a pretty good bet against the spread. Like, this is a team, and even straight up, this is a team that's having a phenomenal January. So, in one game they lose to a bottom feeding team. The next game they beat a contender. And you just have these mixed emotions as a Raptors fan right now.
New year, new Raptors, Luca. And I'm digging it as a Raptors fan. Obviously, I think you called that right with the Dwayne Casey. Like for whatever reason, he treats those games against the Raptors like it is the NBA finals. And there were some funny memes going around. So perhaps that was the Raptors loss was worth it just for that content. But yeah, different night, different team, Luca. On Saturday, they looked like the Raptors we've seen of late. And after, they lost to the Suns, but they still we came away feeling positive about that game. Detroit kind of brought us down a bit, but then the Raptors against the Bucks, one an NBA favorite, NBA, to win the championship. They're a favorite there. And the Raptors, they took it to them in their house without Gary Trent Jr., without Scotty Barnes. That's special, man. That's special. And I think the Raptors will take a lot of confidence from that win. And they did it really in style. Like Pascal Siakam, what a game, what a season he is having. He is showing up and he's going to be so important to this team moving forward. And credit to him because he's proven all the doubters wrong. And he's showing that he can be actually a capable piece on a winning side. So, got to give some love to Pascal there.
Yeah, I said on Twitter, the Raptors can be good when they want to be. I feel like they up their game intensely when they take on these top tier teams. We saw it in that game against the Suns, no business winning. They almost pulled that one off. They always seem to show up against the Bucks, and this time the Bucks had no excuses. Drew Holiday was out, which was a big loss, but Giannis was there, Middleton was there. all those other guys were there. They were at home. And the thing about this game that really surprised me, Mike, was the fact that the Raptors, they were down early. Like, you were looking at this game after the first quarter thinking to yourself, okay, this one's a wrap. We're going to move on to Miami. It's over. And
Mhm.
especially with the, Saturday night football game going on, you're like, okay, now I'm going to go watch the Bills game, see what's going to happen there. But then you look back to the Raptors game, they make that comeback. And in the second half, just absolutely turn the game on its head. And yeah, you got to credit Pascal Siakam. We've said it before on the show. We've been very vocal about his play and how he needs to improve for this team to get better and for this team to be legitimate. And he's done that and then some. He's having a phenomenal last couple of weeks, particularly a month of January. And he had a triple-double in that game against the Bucks. And the thing about that game in particular, Bobby Portis did everything to try to get in the mind of Siakam. You saw that little headbutt he gave him. And Siakam, he was composed. He did not take that bait. He's like, oh, it's all good. I'll show you up on the court. And after that moment, I feel like the entire game shifted, not only with the Raptors play, but Siakam's play. He took a personal and he just put the team on his back. And it was remarkable to see this Raptors team go into Milwaukee and beat them the way that they did, completely changing the momentum of this game. And I'm excited about this Raptors team because when they are motivated and they play to their team's capability, this team is fun to watch. They're tough to beat. And like you mentioned, Gary Trent Jr. wasn't even out there. This Raptors team has done such a great job of the next man up. And can we even give a lot of credit to Justin Champagnie? You talk about next man up mentality. He's earned all those minutes that he's getting. He's eating up the glass. This dude, unbelievable stuff. So it's great to see what the Raptors are doing. And again, they're going to be in action tonight. So we'll see how they fare against the Miami Heat. Before we talk about that, Mike, just quickly here, the Leafs, as you mentioned, they did win on Saturday, 6-5. They were favorites on the money line. So, if you wanted to have a safe bet, you would just ride with them on the money line. But on the puck line, they were -1.5. So the Blues actually covered that. But this was actually a fun game, back and forth game. Leafs get out to that early 3-1 lead. Then the Blues go 3-1 in the second. And then in the third period, the Maple Leafs got that go-ahead goal to put this one on ice. And that was a big win for them as they will now be in action on Wednesday to take on the Rangers. So what were your quick thoughts about that Leafs win on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm kind of in two minds here. Well, one, how come this team continuously blows leads? It's been like 3 or 4 games in a row now where the Leafs have had a lead and the other team has come back. But on the other hand, hey, they were resilient. Sure, you blow that lead. Sure, St. Louis has all the momentum. But once again, Toronto finds a way to pull out the 2 points. And I'll add, going into St. Louis, it's never an easy task for the Leafs. And they prove that they can once again get it done in a different way. And I liked how they came out on top. So, I'm still kind of nervy about them holding leads so early, but at the same time, I got to give them credit for coming away with those big 2 points.
Yeah, you're watching that game like, here we go again. But luckily, they were resilient. They were able to come out on top. And yeah, like you said, I'm okay with blowing leads as long as you win. But you don't want to play this style of hockey as you get into the playoffs because we know from history it's not a good way to go about it. All right, so let's talk Raps Heat, man. This was gonna be absolutely off the charts, but then we get the news that Kyle Lowry is not gonna play in this game for personal reasons. So I hope everything's okay with him. But kind of a bummer, right? We're looking forward to it. I know this one's not gonna be in Toronto, which is a good thing because we have no fans still. But this was gonna be an emotional game, a very electric game with Kyle there. But obviously he's not there, and the Raptors got to go about their business now and try to get a win against a Miami Heat team that I'm pretty sure you bet on them a couple times last week. They've been a pretty safe bet. But you look at the Raptors, Mike, 6-2 straight up and 6-2 against the spread in the month of January. So this team going into this game, riding some momentum. Gary Trent Jr. is questionable. And if you look at the Heat side of things, Bam Adebayo, he's also questionable, although he's probably not going to go in this one. And then Kyle Lowry out. So who do you like going into this matchup between the Raptors and the Kyle Lowry-less Heat?
Yeah, see, this is a tough one. Right now, the spread is at 3 points, where the Raptors are the underdogs heading into Miami. And that's because they've played such great basketball of late. As you mentioned there with the numbers, they're 12-3 against the spread in their last 15 games. So right now, the odds are on the Raptors side, but It's kind of a bit of a low spread. The Heat are just as good as the Raptors are right now, if not better. They're 7-1 straight up in their last 8 games at home against the spread. They're 5-1 in their last 6 games. It's gonna be a tough call, even though without Lowry. And what I'll add is the Heat are probably gonna get Bam Adebayo back tonight. Raptors aren't gonna have Kem Birch, so they could be exposed a little bit in that post. I know Chris Boucher has been playing really good down there, but he's not Bam Adebayo. So I'm a little bit nervous right now about taking the Raptors. And what I'll say too is whenever you see a line in basketball that's like 2 points, 1.5 point, 3 points, for me, that's pretty much a money line game.
Yeah.
Like there's not very often where you see an NBA game finish within that margin. So I think straight up right now, I'm probably leaning Heat just because of the way that they're playing, the way that they're built. And we talk about them all the time. They could be one of the best teams in the NBA, potential title favorites. So I'm leaning Heat here in this one. How about you, Luca?
Yeah, if the Heat in fact do get Adebayo back, I think that's going to be huge. Even if he is going to presumably be on a minutes restriction, he's going to eat up inside. As you mentioned, Kem Birch is not there. Boucher just doesn't have the body to be able to go up against a specimen like a Adebayo. And without Kyle, this Heat team, they're healthy now. And Jimmy Butler's back, and they're so much better with him. Tyler Hero's been playing out of his mind. Duncan Robinson. I really do like this Heat team. They were on a tremendous tear, and then they finally lost one against the Sixers. But overall, the Heat, they're my most dangerous team in the East. If this team can stay healthy, they got so many key weapons. And I think the biggest difference in this one, sorry, if Adebayo does play, is the Heat's bench. The Heat's bench, so much more deep than the Raptors bench. You look at Miami's bench, Mike, they rank fourth at 38.9 points per game, whereas the Raptors, we know they're dead last. So I think this is a game where the Heat's depth is really going to showcase itself, and Miami should have a fairly easy time in this one. But with that being said, the Raptors, they, they surprise you in these games. You
They're
think,
spread
okay,
killers, man.
this is a game where the other team's going to run away with it, like we said in that Suns game, and then they keep it close. So I do expect this to be a relatively close game. But talking about spreads, and the spread usually doesn't end within 3 unless it's a buzzer beater. I do like Miami minus 3 here. I think they will pull away in the fourth, and I do expect them to win, even without Kyle Lowry. Miami's always been a tough place for the Raptors to play. So
Yeah.
I think they will have their fair share of troubles here. And Gary Trent Jr. potentially being out of this game again, it's going to be huge because the Raptors are going to need some of his offense to combat what the Heat have to bring to the table.
Yeah, we talk about how good Miami has been at home. And the Raptors haven't been very good in Miami, 3-7 against the spread in their last 10
There
games
you go.
on the road in Miami. So it's a tough bet if you're a Raptor fan. But that being said, Luca, like they keep defying. Like we talk about them being able to bring their game when they want to. I think a common narrative going around with this team is they really play to the level of their competition. And perhaps today, while they're soaking up the heat there in South Beach and we're freezing our butts off here in Canada, in Toronto, then maybe they'll find some added motivation there and bring some positive light to our television screens tonight. So we'll kind of see how that plays out, Luca.
Yeah, they rarely get blown out by a good team. The only time we see this team have an off night is when they go up against Dwayne Casey and the Pistons, which is weird. But let's stick with Kyle Lowry before we switch gears here, Mike. Obviously, we're looking forward to this. Hopefully, we do get a grand scene when Kyle Lowry comes back to Toronto. I think both these teams are scheduled to play again on the 29th, so we'll see what happens between now and then. But just looking at this Raptors team without Kyle Lowry, what's been your reaction to how they've been able to adapt without him and how well they've looked? Like, you look at how this team is constructed right now, especially with the progression of Fred VanVleet, that void, it's not really as big as some people thought it was going to be at this, especially at this point of the season.
I agree with you. I think with Fred VanVleet, I don't know if he would be able to hit this level if Kyle Lowry was still there. It's now solely become Fred VanVleet's backcourt, arguably Fred VanVleet's team, along with Pascal Siakam, and he's really taken his game to another level. What I will add is I do still see some Kyle Lowry tendencies in this team. And I think he left his mark on that. We all know Kyle Lowry was Fred VanVleet's mentor. So I am seeing a lot of Freddie pushing the ball, for example, just a little small thing where,
Yeah.
off an inbounds play, you'll see Freddie just grab the ball and run it up the court. That's Lowry at his best. Kyle Lowry, he probably wasn't doing it at the level Freddie was, but Kyle Lowry loved to pull up just randomly. I think we're seeing a lot of that more in Fred VanVleet, just little things like that. And Kyle Lowry set the intensity on the defensive end on this team. And now we're seeing kind of Fred VanVleet do that. And I think Kyle showed him just how important it is to lock in defensively, possession in, possession out. So I do agree that they have adapted well without Lowry. I don't think they're missing him as much as probably many would have anticipated. And a lot of that is due to the level of play of Fred VanVleet, and also got to give some love to Gary Trent Jr. in the backcourt. But it's clear that Kyle Lowry still left a positive imprint on this team.
Yeah, Dwayne Casey said it after that game. I see Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet. It's incredible how much better Van Vliet has been this season without Kyle Lowry. It's no coincidence. He was ready to take off. He was ready to spread his wings. And I think it was a perfect departure. It was a perfect timing on the departure where Kyle Lowry leaves, gets to go in Miami, gets to play for a contending team that has a chance for a championship. So that gives him the opportunity to win another one before his time is done. Doesn't have many years left. While the Raptors, they were ready to live life without Kyle Lowry. And we saw so many glimpses of this last season when Kyle Lowry was in and out of the lineup. The Raptors had an incredible record without Kyle Lowry. And that to me was the perfect indication. Okay, now's the time. Now's the time to officially move on from Kyle and give Kyle his opportunity to go win a championship and allow this Raptors team to grow and show what they're capable of doing. So I think it was a perfect way for it to end. Good situation for both sides. And Fred VanVleet has been the main beneficiary of Lowry's departure because, yeah, this is his quote unquote team. This is his backcourt. He's got the keys to the car and he's become this team's leader. He's doing the things that Kyle would do on this Raptors team. Spark a run by hitting a couple threes, taking a charge, getting his teammates involved, being that vocal leader between timeouts, in huddles, in the locker room. So he's learned so much from Kyle, and you see it already. And it's so weird how you look at both of these players at the same age, very similar numbers, and you can argue Van Vliet is headed towards an even greater pace than the one of Kyle Lowry. So it's scary how similar their careers have kind of gone on and where they're at right now. And Fred VanVleet, he just shows signs that he's not going to slow down and he can continue to get better. So it's amazing, like you said, the type of imprint Lowry has left on this team. And I think it was time for this to happen. It's just better for both sides. And yeah, we'll see how Kyle Lowry does in Miami. I thought it was a big get for the Heat. And I think, both sides are going to benefit from what happened.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And there's question marks. It was going to Miami Heat the best move for Kyle Lowry? Obviously, you have his hometown, Philadelphia. You probably had a bunch of other suitors, perhaps even the Lakers, if they didn't make that move for Russell Westbrook, which I think the Lakers would be in a way better position if they had Kyle Lowry as opposed to Westbrook. But yeah, I don't think you can argue with the move that Kyle Lowry made down there to the Miami Heat. And here comes Freddie. So two
Yeah.
things I want to highlight quickly is Fred VanVleet has been absolutely killing it on his prop bets. Tonight he's at his over under for points is 22 and a half. And I like that over. He's averaging almost 27, more than 27 points in his last month of play, which is a remarkable stretch. Also 3 points made. He's at 4.5 is the over under tonight. He's averaging almost 5.5 threes per game over the last month. So it's tough to bet against those. So I take Fred VanVleet on those prop bets.
Well, I do love those prop bets, especially with Kyle not being there. He would have been on Fred, and that would have made his life a little bit more difficult. Kyle, of course, a great defender at his position, but now that Kyle's not there, Fred's going to have that green light. I mean, he would have had the green light anyway, but it could be an easier time now without Kyle Lowry guarding him. But yeah, hopefully we do
Yeah.
see that matchup soon because I was looking forward
And
to it.
with Ban's potential return as well in the post, they might have to get a lot of their scoring from the outside. And no one's better than that on this Raptor team than Fred VanVleet.
Look for Fred to have a big night. Smash those player props. All right, let's switch gears now and let's talk about some great Canadian talent that was on display this weekend. Mike, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I want to give we talked about him a little bit last week, and our guy went out and did the thing. He took home the eMLS League Series 1 tournament. We're talking about Goal Machine, Toronto FC's professional FIFA player. This is a guy who was making his debut for TFC, and he put the whole league on notice. The entire tournament, he finished with 14 wins, 2 draws, and only 1 loss, which is just unbelievable. I think in each of the knockout round games too, he had a lot of tough opponents, and it went to extra time in each of the games, and he prevailed each time. Actually, in the finals, the guy who he was facing, Paulo Neto from Atlanta United, this guy won his semifinal match 11-0 heading into that final. So all the momentum was on his side, but Goal Machine found a way, and it was a thrilling last game. And I know social media was popping off for him. So he took home a solid 20,000 US dollars in prize pool money for that win. And he's
Wow.
shaping up nicely for the rest of the season. So he has 2 more tournaments in the eMLS left. And he told me a couple months ago that his goal was to win all 3 tournaments this year. So got to give some love to our guy, Goal Machine.
Yeah, I feel like you gave him some good luck just hyping him up, talking about him going into the weekend, and it's great to see that he had some success. For mine, yeah, this person had some success too to begin their Australian Open. How about Dennis Shapovalov? Unbelievable for Shapo. This is a guy, so much anticipation, so much hype around his name, and rightfully so. I mean, he is, Tennis Canada's brightest star, one of their brightest stars coming on in. And he began his Australian Open by winning his first round matchup. A little bit of a shaky one. I mean, I thought he was going to win this one in straight sets, but, it did go to 4. And even in that fourth, it did go to a tiebreak. So he was able to hold on. But tennis, it's about the marathon. It's about taking those blows, being resilient, being strong mentally, and coming out with the victory, which is what he did. And now he's going to be moving on to the next round to take on Kwon Soon Woo. Say that 3 times fast. So he'll be the favorite in that one. But you look at Shapo, there's a lot of expectations put on his shoulder, and it's because of his track record. I mean, he made the semifinals in Wimbledon, losing to, of course, the Joker. And in the Australian Open last year, he made it to the third round before losing to fellow Canadian Felix. So we are ready to see Shapo take that next step and really have a defining moment similar to the one that Bianca had a few years ago. And I feel like he's ready for it. He continuously gets better. And I thought we saw glimpses of that when he made that heroic run during Wimbledon. And it was crazy to see him even go up against Joker under those bright lights in one of the biggest majors of the entire tennis calendar. So I think he's ready. I think he's going to have a big tournament. And I just hope he can look a little bit more resounding in victory. I know he did come off that win, but you do not like to see the shaky start, especially having a lot of the, unforced errors, things of that nature. I feel like he can tone it down with that because he's better than that. So yeah, hopefully he cruises on past the second round and we'll see how far he can go. I really think he's about to hit that time where he shows us what he can do and how big of a star he can become.
Yeah, and with no Djokovic in this tournament at the Australian Open, that men's bracket is wide open. And Canada in particular, they're coming off a pretty significant win at the ATP Cup, where Chapo and Felix they teamed up in this 2v2 tournament, and they actually won the whole thing, beating Spain, France, Belgium, all these like star-studded teams. It was Canada that came out on top, so that's kind of the direction that this country is heading in that sport. And it's a very exciting time if you're a Canadian tennis fan. Dennis Shapovalov reigning in from Richmond Hill, Ontario, where I'm actually recording from. So I got to give him some extra bit of love. And tonight we're going to see a couple more Canadians in action. We have Leylah Fernandez, who's taking on Madison Inglis. We talked about her last time, and she's minus 1,000 in that game. So heavy favorite. And then you have Felix Auger Aliassime at minus 300 against, I might butcher this name, but Emil Rusevori. That's a pretty close odds actually for an
Yeah.
opening round matchup, and Felix is ranked number 9 in the world, so I'm not anticipating this to be an easy one by any means. But Felix is playing some really dang good tennis right now, and he could be the favorite there for Canada on the men's side. Him and Shapo are going to be representing really well. They'll have a good shot here, man.
Yeah, really good point about Joker not being in this tournament, and that men's side of the bracket looks very favorable. So yeah, hopefully he can make a run. I remember watching him when he was like 16, 17, I think it was, at Rogers Cup, and I'm like, this kid's something special, and he's still really young, hasn't even hit his peak yet. I mean, he's about to hit it, and look what he's been able to do. So I think it's a matter of time until Chapo really takes off. All right, let's end Toronto today with a segment that we always do, and hopefully we can keep on with our winning ways. Both Mike and I had a Friday filled with victory, both of us getting our bets right. So let's see if we could keep that one going. What's your best bet for this Monday night?
I'm taking a look at, once again, they worked for me on Friday night, so I got to go back to them. I'm talking about the Phoenix Suns. And tonight they're in San Antonio, taking on the Spurs, and they are 4.5 point favorites. And I'm looking for Phoenix to actually cover that spread against San Antonio. We know how good Phoenix has been. We talk about them all the time. On the road, I believe they've won 5 in a row away from home. And I don't see any reason why they can't continue that hot stretch against the Spurs, who have been pretty much in shambles. They've been battling a lot of injuries. They've been battling a lot of protocol incidents. And I'm not sure if this team is quite right yet to get back on track. And it's not a very big spread either with the way that Phoenix has been playing. So I like Phoenix here to cover that spread, Luca.
Yeah, I like it. I really do. You're going back to the well and you're betting against a team that's not very good right now. And I bet against them on Friday, and that worked wonderfully for me. For my bet, I'm going to go to Monday Night Football. For the first time ever, we're going to have a wild card game played on Monday Night Football, and that is the Cardinals taking on the Rams. Been going back and forth with this one, but I'm going to take the points here. Give me the Cardinals plus 4.5. I know this team did not come into the postseason the way that they would have liked, but that being said, the Rams didn't come into this postseason the way that they like. They gave up a 17-0 lead, allowing for the Niners to get into the playoffs. And I look at the Niners now, they're going to be playing in the divisional round against the Packers. And I just like the Cardinals on the road. For whatever reason, this team, they thrive on the road. The road warriors of the season, 8-1 straight up on the road this season. So that's a big number to ride with. And they're going to be taking on a Rams team. I just think they're going to feel the pressure. All expectations are put on them to win this game and make a deep run. When they constructed this team, they basically gave up the farm system to get Stafford and put the pieces around him. If this team falls short of making it to a Super Bowl, there's going to be a lot of noise this offseason. So the pressure is there. And when you talk about pressure and Stafford does not go in the same conversation, because Stafford is a guy who has yet to prove that he can do it in the big time moments. He is 0-3 lifetime in the playoffs. If he loses this, he's going to join Andy Dalton territory of being 0-4 in the playoffs as a starting quarterback. So I just think the pressure is going to mount here. The Cardinals, they're going to be playing with some house money. Nobody really expects them to win this game. So I think at the very least, it's going to be close. So I'm taking the points here. Give me the Cards plus 4.5. I think we should be in, though, for a great Monday Night Football game.
Andy Dalton territory. That's never a place you want to be. And let's just hope tonight it's better than some of the games that we saw over the weekend. Hopefully it's a tighter one and can keep the fans entertained for at least the majority of this game. And then hopefully your bet prevails.
Yeah, I'm good with a close game. I mean, even if the Cards lose by 3, I'll still win. So I'm good with that. But that it will conclude another edition of Toronto Today here on the Parlay. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Of course, you can follow us all over social media, and you can get the audio portion of this podcast wherever you find your podcast. Leave a 5-star rating. We would definitely appreciate that. And yeah, enjoy the night of sports, and we'll be back at it again Tuesday with another edition of Toronto Today. Thanks for watching.